This is TWiT.
You know, Mike Elgin published this actually great piece on Computer World today, where he called this, he called the Fire Phone the most effective device ever sold for harvesting the personal data from its owner. So this is another one of the things. And Mike, you know, who obviously you guys all know well,
he's our news director. Yeah. He said you should not buy the Fire Phone.
He did. Yeah. He did. And so, so just to you know, bring some balance here, you know, Mike's point is that, you know, every time you do Firefly, you know, every time you use Firefly, it's uploading, you know, images, audio, and GPS coordinates every time, and that Amazon is storing that data, and that also because they're looking at through this 3D feature, they're looking at your face, you know, all the time to judge, you know, if you're looking at, you know, your facial angles and things like this. They're going to be able to do this amazing thing that we just talked about, and that the facial recognition potentially, because of all the data they're collecting on that, could be better than you know, anybody has done before, because of that database of sort of facial images, if they were in fact, you know, storing those and connecting them to a profile on you. So all in all, Mike's just making a pretty strong argument. Then he's bringing in sort of the cloud storage and Silk browser and other things, and he's saying that this thing is going to have so much data on you. You know, Google and Facebook will be jealous, you know, in terms of what they're gonna have because of some of these features.
But isn't that inevitable?
But is it? I mean, it is inevitable in the sense that this is where all these services are heading. But we have such a freak out as a collective society anytime we think our privacy is being invaded, which is interesting, because with all of this information being collected by not just this device, but Amazon's entire existence, why there hasn't been a complete freak out over what Amazon does with big data. You know, Jason,
well, that's partly because we've been living with Google for so long, right?
Yeah.
True. Yep.
What is it they're doing that Google doesn't do now?
Well, it is inevitable.
Mike's point, though, is that this phone is even better than any other Android phone for doing this, because of Firefly and because it has 4 cameras on the front face. So it's seeing you, it's seeing where you are, it's seeing. In other words, it's an even better data collector. But they're not doing anything different than Google's doing.
But Google has been, to Google's credit, they have been getting more and more transparent about what they're doing.
And that's Mike's complaint. Yeah.
And Mike's point, and I think he's right on, is that, you know, Amazon is not, they need to be far more transparent and detailed about what they are collecting, what they are saving, and what their practices are on anonymizing the things or allowing you to opt out and those kind of things, which they currently do not. And if they're going to do these kind of things, they have to do it, and we should hold their feet to the fire.
But do they? Do they? Because Google sells you. You're Google's product. You're the thing, that the data point that they're offering to their advertisers.
True.
For Amazon, they're really honest. I mean, even if we don't know exactly what they're doing with it, we know the purpose. The entire purpose of Amazon's existence, of all their data collection, is to sell you stuff. That's it. And they're very open about that. I mean, they're not pretending like they're not selling you that book or that gizmo. So maybe that's why we cut them more slack, because even if we don't know the minutia of what they're doing with that information, we know the final product.
I think as internet citizens, though, our expectation is becoming and should be that if you are using my data, if you are taking data on me, that you should be transparent about that. You should let me know that, especially on the scale of what places like Google and Facebook and Amazon and Apple are doing. And so that, I think that is a fair point. And it's not something that's out there. It's not something that should be mandated by law, but I think it should be an expectation. And I think it's something that, as journalists, it's something that we can do to sort of hold people's feet to the fire on it.
Jason, do you use your CVS membership card or your Vons or Safeway or Ralph's grocery store cards to get that little discount they give for being a member?
Sometimes, some of them I do.
I buy everything from Sharper
so
Image.
They know everything you've bought and how much it cost and when you bought it and where you bought it. Do you think that Walmart doesn't have cameras that see your face while you're buying stuff?
But should we accept that, Jerry? I mean,
it's a little late to not accept it, isn't it?
That's kind of, by the way, that's kind of Mike's point. He said, and you see, we've never had to think about Amazon in that regard, but all of a sudden with this phone we do. And he said, this is quoting Mike's article, one can imagine 3 years hence when users are more jaded and worn down by massive and constant privacy invasions that Amazon might choose to turn on some killer future face recognition algorithm using those pictures that they've been uploading. Remember, they're giving you free, unlimited storage for all of your photos in order to compete more effectively against other data harvesting companies.
So
if Amazon, and this is what he asks, he says if Amazon doesn't promise to never do this, then they're just leaving that option open. And potential buyers, and I think this is fair, should be aware of this. You may make the choice, you may do the deal with the devil, if you'll forgive me, Father, but you should understand that Amazon has this potential, and if they don't promise never to do it, then we want to assume they might.